Have there been times you found your identity in your cell phone?
Oh, yeah, today. Yes, I was actually agitated before I got here because I was scrolling for too long. So.
Oh, no.
Welcome back to the Student Life Podcast, and that means something different for us because we recorded this yesterday and it failed, and so this is our second time recording it, and so I think God wanted to refine some things as we move forward. But thank you for watching last week when it came to the condition of the heart and girls, and this week we're shifting gears. We're going to stick with condition of the heart, but we're going to talk about boys, and so that's why we have Mikayla here. Just kidding. You might be wondering why there's a female in the room, but there's a portion where we're going to talk about sports and the identity they play in our life. And both Mikayla and Wyatt have a story in regards to that. And so since I said their names, I want to introduce them and who they are to us. And first we have Mikayla Pashby, and she is a special, she has a special place to Kelly and I in our hearts. She was in the youth group when we first joined the youth group, and I became the youth pastor. And so she was one of those core students that were there freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. And she did it on the accelerated path. She graduated in 3.5 years. So that was great. So she's a Student Life alumni. She has a heart for worship and serving the Lord. And she's just been a joy to be around, Mikayla Pashby. And so,
Yay. Thanks for having me.
that's right. Next, you have Wyatt Holmes, and Wyatt is currently my Student Life intern, and so he's acting in a place of leadership within Student Life, which didn't change much from when he was in Student Life because he was someone that the students looked up to for advice. I commonly relied on him and Mikayla to lead small groups for their peers, just because of the wisdom they have in God's Word, and so. Wyatt, if you're not watching this online, he looks like he's maybe 25 or 30, but he's not. He's what are you, barely 18?
Yeah, fresh.
Okay. Funny story about that with Wyatt is the first time I met him, his dad actually called me before he came to youth group, and good on him for kind of doing his homework as a parent to see what we were teaching, where we stood, what my priorities were as a youth pastor. And at the end of the conversation, he said, "Just so you know, he has a beard," right? And I was like, "Okay." And I didn't realize it till he walked in the room. But when he walked in the back of Student Life, my mentors and volunteers were kind of pointing him toward the adult classes, and then it clicked.
They were straight bouncers.
That's right. Yeah, they did their job well, and I commended them for that. But it turns out that Wyatt being 6'4", 6'5", full beard at 15 years old kind of threw him off. But he's been a core part of the group at Student Life, and it's the reason why I have him as my intern now, and so that's Wyatt Holmes. So the reason I have them two here today is to speak on the area of identity when it comes to where we find our identity. Last week we had great conversations about modesty, makeup, social media, phone usage, things, and now we're going to shift our focus to the boys' side. So Wyatt, tell me some things that boys, if their identity shifts away from Jesus, what are things they find their identity in?
I think those pillars as a boy is like, you think video games, sports, for some like me and my brother, like hunting, being outdoors,
Sure.
Just like stuff that gives you sometimes an adrenaline rush, or just like something you can, that saying, be a boy,
Yeah.
You can go be free, do whatever while you do it.
And so, girls, they find their value and their worth in their beauty, how people perceive them, where guys find their value and their worth in what they could achieve and success and all these things, and who they can defeat and all that, right? And so that plays into sports. It plays into video games. It plays into hunting, right? Finding value in something you're good at is a lot of times what boys land on. So let's open up those individually, and we'll start with video games. What do you think a common number of hours per day that an average teenage boy plays video games?
I'd say an average teenage boy probably is going to say an hour and a half, but like when you look at
that's what they tell their parents.
Yeah, that's when you shut off the screen like recording time.
That's right.
I would say honestly, it probably, especially during the summer, is easily conservative of like 6 hours in total a day.
Yeah, in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which 6 hours of anything in a day
It's a lot.
is a
Not
lot,
healthy.
Yeah.
right? That's a full work day. That's some pretty heavy time spent on something that's disconnecting you from the world. And so you could quickly see how that would become part of your identity, right? You spend that much time with something of that nature, and it could quickly become where you find your value, your self-worth. So think about that. Like if your kids started playing video games after dinner, so we'll just say 7:00, and they were in their room playing video games until the end of the night, even if they went to bed at 10, that's still 3 hours. It's unlikely that your kid's going to bed at 10 if they have a video game system in their room.
One more.
Yeah,
I hear,
Man, I was really bad at that game. Give me a rematch.
here's common numbers I hear. Common numbers within our youth group I hear. 1:00, 2:00, 4:00. Okay? And so...
in the morning.
in the morning. Correct. So at that point, you're pushing 6, 7, 8 hours of video game time per day, which is bad. It's bad. Let's talk about video games and what they have to offer as far as value in your life. What are some benefits of a video game there, Wyatt?
You know, I think they bring great hand-eye coordination.
I was gonna say that.
That's almost like rehearsed. I feel like that was rehearsed.
Which is
like I've heard that before.
which is funny because we look for things to justify why it's a good reason.
Yeah.
Right? Like the world's like, okay, let's find a positive to video games. It improves hand-eye coordination, which is a true story. And so the military actually uses video games to improve someone's hand-eye coordination. We are not lacking hand-eye coordination in society, right?
to the point we need that. At least.
We're
I mean,
lacking moral character. We're lacking men.
Yeah.
We're lacking our identity in Christ. And so I don't think hand-eye coordination should be the thing that we're working on right now.
Yeah. I think the main reason that it's got such a good strong grasp on people and boys especially, for me is I've used it as an escape before. You know, it's like, oh, I can go play this video game for however many hours. You know, I can hang out with friends, you know, and play, and I don't have any repercussions for it. You know, and I don't have to make these big decisions that, you know, like especially right now, you know, like going from high school into adulthood, it's like, man, everything I do is like, I'm like,
Right.
that's going to affect me for the next 25 years. You know?
Right.
I can go play a video game, like, oh, that match sucked. Time to restart. You know?
Yeah. And so if you asked teenage boys these days, what do you want to do when you grow up? And they might say video game developer, right? So I'm working on my career right now, would be an excuse. Nobody becomes a video game developer. They're already established. AI is doing it for them. That's not really a career path, right? And so all the things that we think are good are really not good. And we're going to say this numerous times throughout this podcast, but video games at the core are not the issue, right? Can I go play Mario Kart with my family and have a great time for 45 minutes or an hour?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely I can. Do we still have a Super Nintendo where we go on Donkey Kong battles and Street Fighter and stuff like that? Absolutely, right? It's not very common in our household, but it's still there.
Yeah.
And so those things at their core aren't the problem. It's when we start to spend too much time and develop our identity in those things. And so this kind of pushes into relationships as well, because the typical female relationship, what does that look like if you guys were to get together and have coffee? Where does the conversation typically go?
I actually did that this morning. We were there from 9:30 to 12. I actually can't pinpoint what we talked about.
I was say probably not video games.
No, it was not video games. I'm sure boys slipped in there, but I know mostly relational stuff, like feelings and like stuff about our families. Like we talked a bunch about that, but yes, never in the video game realm.
It quickly becomes an intimate place to share shortcomings, what you're struggling with, what God's teaching you. And so females have this like relational thing, and they do find identity in that. Where boys, the relationship, I was just hanging out with the other two pastors, and quickly it became fish stories, right?
Yeah.
None of us are major fishermen, but somehow we go around the table like 4 times. Hey man, my uncle did this, and we did net fishing, and I did this, and I caught it with my hand, and and it's like quickly we start sharing our achievements on what we've done, right? And so for a boy, a video game, they get together with their friends next time they're with them. Hey, I had a 10 kill streak, and here's my stats. Here's where I rank. All these types of things. It's somewhere where they find value.
Yeah.
Right. What we should be teaching our kids is, man, I did service projects this week, and this is what I've done. Right. Not to brag about it, but that's where we should put in our energy and our time and things like that. But instead, our guys are just kind of checking out in a world that doesn't matter.
I think something we maybe don't want to recognize, but should recognize, is behavior that comes with video games.
Sure.
So like I've noticed it in our kids, even with, I mean, we try to limit
Our personal
things,
kids,
stuff like that. Our personal
yeah.
kids, we try to limit things. And their attitudes tank sometimes when they've been doing too
Screen
many
time.
video games
Yep.
or any type of screen time, movies, stuff like that. Attitude could start coming out. They get tired because they're doing that, or aren't feeling as great because they've been doing too much of that.
Anxiety.
It affects their attitude.
Yeah.
And then to the point where, like, our son has noticed that before and said, like, I think I need to take a break. I'm doing too much. Because he notices he's maybe, like, you can get more irritated, more agitated, more, frustrated easily, stuff like that. Do you notice that when you're playing video games?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like, talks.
He's a recovering video game artist.
Yeah.
So just,
I am a video game guy.
hi, Wyatt.
But I mean, it definitely warps your brain. It's a slippery slope of like I said, there's no repercussions for what you do in a video game. So you can trash talk your friend until it quickly realizes and blurs that you just trash talked your mom, and then it's going to be really awkward really quick. But like you don't realize, and you can have the two separate worlds, but before you realize it, that line is completely just, the sand has covered that line.
Sure.
And there's no difference between how you're playing in a video game and in real life. And you can see that. You watch the news, and a lot of times it's all these gamers,
Yeah.
Behind the screen.
So I was talking to a father the other day. He's a dad, and he's a husband, and he plays video games. And he said he was so mad at this other kid on the other side. And he looked at his profile, and he was like 9 years old. Right? And you're talking about a 38-year-old dude, like, thinking poor things of a 9-year-old because of what's going on behind the scenes.
That
of this
9-year-old
video.
trash talk hurts.
The trash talk is real, okay? But in that, is there light or darkness that is usually brought in through video games?
Darkness.
Darkness. How often is light brought in through video games?
I mean,
Maybe some
that's
Mario
where it
Kart
comes
with
down
your
to if you're
family.
playing with the right group of friends.
Sure.
True.
Like I could get on with a group of friends from church, and it can be a non-sinful time, and it can be a great time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's a holy time.
Right.
We're killing zombies or
What
whatever
are
we're
you
doing, But there's definitely the darkness outweighs the light in that that world.
And so typically when video games are a primary thing, isolation is taking place. And so your kid is in their room by themselves. And then there's areas that they want to explore. And so I'm going to branch out and talk about Roblox for just a second. It's a pretty common household video game for ages very young to teenagers. Yeah. If you don't know this about Roblox, is there's different levels that you can go down, right? You're going down. You're not going up. So that should be the first indicator. But you're going into these deeper levels of the game. As you get into these deeper levels, and if your kid has YouTube and they're Googling how to do this, as you go into these deeper levels, it gets darker and darker. There have been plenty of reports of kids committing suicide because of these darker levels, because there's certain things where they have to have physically cut themselves in order to progress in the level. There's other things where they have to upload a profile picture, and later in the game, that profile picture will become a character. And so they're fighting their character, and they have to kill the opposing character, which is themselves. You're stepping into evil, controlled darkness that you're introducing your kid
And
to.
a little bit at a time, one step at a time.
Sure. You go lower and lower and lower into these areas that are extremely dark.
Yeah.
And the intention behind the creators of this is not to bring your kid to the Lord. The intention with the creator is to distract your kid, to bring evil into their life, to bring evil into your home.
And there is evil, like
there is
I was
evil.
at the movies, like it's not wrong to recognize that somebody has evil intentions.
Yes.
Like as Christians, we're like, oh, see the best in people, and sometimes that's not the case.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's literally you need to flee from that person.
Right.
Like I had that realization. My brother and I were at the movies, and there was this trailer that was played, and I'd heard about it. like from reels, it was like, hey, if you see this trailer, don't watch it. It's like super scary, super dark. And I'm like, I'm a grown dude. I'll be fine, you know? So Weston's out getting soda and popcorn, and I'm sitting there, no one else in my row. There's like 5 other people in this theater, and it starts playing. I'm like, oh, this is like wholesome, you know? And then it got dark really quick, you know? And I was just like in shock. To the point where I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I can't leave, you know? And eventually, once it got even scarier, I'm like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
But like to think that somebody sat down and wrote that and spent millions of dollars on that, you know, like there's billions of people who play daily on Roblox.
Yes.
And there's that numbing layer, you know. I'm going to share the story of the Eskimos because it's like my favorite story to share right now. So there's a group of Eskimos, and whenever they have problems with wolves, the best way, like they can't necessarily track the wolf down because it's super smart. And so what they would do is they would kill a deer, and they would dip their knife into the blood of the deer and then let the blood freeze and do it over and over again until you have multiple layers of frozen blood on the knife blade. Then what they would do is they would take it out into like a field or wherever and stick the knife into the snow, handle down, so the blade is facing up with the blood popsicle, for lack of better words. And so the wolf the wolf would smell that, and they would be attracted to it, and they would go and lick and lick and lick. Well, that ice, what that was doing was numbing its mouth, so it didn't have feeling, and so it's tasting the blood like, this is good, you know, it keeps going. Before it knows it, its mouth is numb, so it doesn't feel anything. That thing has cut its mouth open to the point that it bleeds out and dies. But before it does that, it goes back to its den and leading a whole blood trail back to its den. And the Eskimos would go out the next morning and they would wipe out that den.
Right.
And it's just like the layers of numbing that happens through video games.
Yeah, and there are people, whether you want to believe it or not, developers of video games, creators of movies that are demon possessed, and they are putting these things intentionally to bring your kids into darkness. You as an adult, to bring you into darkness. And so not one of these things we talked about would we welcome into our child's bedroom. We wouldn't welcome a possessed man. We wouldn't welcome evil into our child's bedroom. We wouldn't do any of that, but we will stick a game system in the house with a TV and allow our kids to play these things.
Yes.
And so, man, this isn't for you as parents, this isn't to shame you, judge you, anything like that. This is a word of warning and a word of concern of things that I see and Kelly see on a daily basis of kids struggling with things and then realizing that they've spent hours on a machine that really is not intended for good. It's intended for evil.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so
Encouragement to just also like look into the games.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're not interested maybe in video games, yet still need to, as a parent, do your due diligence and looking into it.
For sure.
I'm not into reading, but I still had to do my due diligence in books that Noah reads to make sure that they're wholesome for him. And I've even seen in that where like a series will start amazing. Like it may even have some like great Christian like moral stuff in it. And then by book 2, book 3, it's now like, whoa, we're going to throw, you know, different stuff into it that maybe we don't believe in.
Right.
But then the kid is hooked.
We literally had one that started out good, and then the next series was a homosexual relationship.
Yes. And so it's like, oh, then it hooks the kid. And then as a parent, you're going, man, now I got to tell him that he can't read this anymore, you know? But how often does that start in a TV series nowadays?
Yes.
And it's like, then I'm hooked. And then you're starting to go, it's okay. I know that that's wrong. I don't believe that. And then it's like, it just gets worse and worse. And you're just filling yourself. And especially for our little kids' minds or youth minds, like, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
and I feel like Pastor Ridley has touched on this too, of like the little compromises or the tolerance then becomes what the next society, the next generation accepts and calls righteous, and it's not.
Yeah.
And I feel like we can put that in every area of like video games and social media and books and TV of like they're gonna sneak things in because it's intentional.
Yeah.
Like growing up, like, you know, you hear about like stories of witches, like, oh, Halloween, fun, cute stuff. No, this stuff is real. And it's just been recently where I'm like, all right, there are people out there that are in communication with
Oh, yeah.
dark
Yes,
and evil
it's real.
things.
We have a group here in Chapel Hill. This isn't New York or California or Washington or anything like that. Here in Chapel Hill, where they meet. They claim to be witches. They claim to be demon possessed. They put on classes of all tarot cards and all this kind of stuff. There's an annual meeting that they have at the park, and there's times where we've stayed up and prayed in contradiction to what they're doing. They have classes on how children can cast spells, right? This is Chapel Hill, right? This isn't some far off land. This is happening right in our midst. And so fathers and dads, we're the gatekeeper of our house. And so what we allow into our homes is on us. And I want to be responsible with that. I want to be a good steward of that, to protect my children from what is coming in through video games, through cell phones, through movies, and the media side coming into our homes. Before we switch to the next thing, Wyatt, were you going to say something, or did I cut you off?
We have to like realize that stuff's real. You know, like at first, like my Christian brain is like, oh, that's like, it's not Jesus' power, so it's fake.
Right.
You know, like the witches, like, oh, they're just
Right.
out there playing with a random playing
it's not
cards. You
real.
know,
No.
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
it literally talks,
Rocks.
rocks. It literally talks about that in the Bible, though, that there's evil principalities
Yeah.
and powers. You know,
Yeah.
like whether when we don't accept that is when we're not doing what God calls us to do, and
That's
to
right.
bring that to Him.
That's
you
right.
know, through prayer and
Yeah.
through. I'm not saying you go storm the pavilion there at the
Right.
park.
Right. You pray.
Yeah, pray.
Another thing, before we get out of media, we were talking about video games. All those same rules apply to a cell phone.
Cell phone.
And so, you know, you're like, well, my kid doesn't have a video game system. Okay, but they might have a cell phone. And one night in student life, we told everybody to pull out their phone, and if they were willing, to check their screen time. And the average for students had phone in that room was 6 hours screen time a day. Some of the higher ones were 13
yeah.
I
hours.
thought I remember somebody had like 17 from playing Block Blast.
Yeah, so yeah,
I'm pretty sure the one
there likely was. But at the beginning of that night, we said who has a cell phone, who doesn't. We separated them on side of the room, and all these people who didn't have cell phones felt really.
out of the
They were
loop.
jealous. They felt out of the place. They felt, man, I wish I had. By the end of the night, once we got done discussing what the cell phone was doing to the students who had them, the other ones on the other side of the room were grateful for the restrictions or the lack of cell phone they
And
had.
the ones with cell phones were wanting restrictions.
Yeah.
There were so many that don't have restrictions. And it's like, I think it's so easy in parenting just to be like, oh, my kid's not going to do that. My kids, you know, oh, they're great and stuff. But we are supposed to be watching.
Yes.
Like, we are supposed to be restricting. And no teenager wants to be like, hey, mom and dad, put
Yep.
this restriction on here so that I can't do this. But it's necessary. And
Yeah.
so many of them were like, I wish I had restrictions. We've had some come to mentors and say, can you please help me figure out how to limit this? Can
Yeah.
you help me put a restriction on
Now,
here?
and we do have community kids who don't have parents who care. A lot of our parents in our group are discipling their kids and have those restrictions on phones. But there's a large portion who don't, and the students actually want that structure. So consider
a
having
reminder
conversation.
to-
Be alert, stand
Yeah.
firm,
Yep.
do everything.
Have there been
rough.
times you found your identity in your cell phone?
Oh
There-
yeah, today. Yes, I was actually agitated before I got here because I was scrolling for too long. So
Oh, look.
Yeah.
So you're not perfect.
Yes.
I know. Okay. Why you're not perfect? Dang it. That's why I had you guys on the podcast.
Oh, sorry. We'll have to film it again.
third time's a
Round
charm.
3.
All right. So just be alert. Stand firm in the area of technology and media. I want to shift to another big one, and that is dating relationships or relationships for a boy. Is there times that a boy can find their worth or their value in what girls think of them, how the girls see them on that aspect?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it kind of goes back to that, you know, the guys trying to one up each other, you know, like especially in a small town, you know, like
Sure.
who can get the most attention from all
Sure.
the one high school here.
Right, right, right,
you know,
right.
And
who-
from being an out of towner, right?
yeah,
Coming in.
Yeah, I mean that's a
Trying to
problem.
prove
That's a
yourself.
problem I had. You know, was
Yeah.
like junior year before junior year started. I was just like wanting attention. You know,
Sure.
I was like I feel lonely. You know, so I was like, okay, how many
how much attention could
can
you
I
get, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once you do that, your
Slippery slope.
self-esteem build, right?
Yeah.
Wyatt, you're not on an island. I'm glad you shared that. You're not on an island because
Yeah.
you just described every man, most women, because women find their value the same way. How many boys can I get to entertain me, right? How many boys can I get in conversation? How many boys can I get to look at me? And that bumps up value or your identity.
There's
right?
also that kind of like the reverse opposite where
Yes.
like how much can I get this guy to like me, like, or
Sure.
just this one guy, like
Yes.
like that'll boost self-esteem and like by doing anything,
Yep.
by whether it's like appeasing them in a way that you shouldn't, or I mean hanging out with just him like alone and
Sure.
being isolated and cut off. I feel like that can also go two ways. I feel like it's more of a guy thing to be like, okay, how many girls can I get to like me?
Right.
And more of the girl part of like, okay, how much can I get this guy to like me?
Right.
If that makes
Right.
sense.
I think girls too, it's like even with relationships, with friendships, I think girls can get tied into like wanting to be liked, wanting to be popular, wanting to have a lot of friends and things
and that
like
leads to what we talked about last week in that now how do I look? How's my makeup? What am I wearing?
Comparison.
If I wear this, do I get more eyes looking at me than if I wear this, right? And so now we're trying to please men or please women instead of please God.
Wasn't there like a saying that like men are attracted to beauty, women are attracted to like words or something? You know,
Sure.
so like
Yeah.
the women wear makeup for the men to be attracted to that, and then this is like not the right way it should be done, you know, but the
Right.
men will use their words to attract the women.
Sure. Yeah. And so it's true. It's true. You speak persuasively to a woman, and they're like, "Oh, he's so handsome." You're like, "No, he's ugly, bro. He just knows how to
Man,
talk,
someone should
right?"
have told me that. Like,
He just told
lot.
you nice things. That's
Okay,
it. You know.
here's the first disclaimer. I know this about the boys' heart. If they drive a squatted truck, it don't matter what.
I remember Kelly telling me very specifically, we had already been together a while, and she goes, "Kyle, you're nice. You being nice is perceived as flirting to a girl, right?" And so I had to become aware of that. Like, man, I'm nice to everybody, but I had to realize at some point that may be perceived differently from a woman, right?
Because people take
Yeah.
kindness and they're like, "Oh, they love me," and it's like no, like how Jesus wants me to love you.
Yeah. So yeah, we kind of went into like dating there, but boys do find their identity in how they're perceived by girls, right? And so if I have a girlfriend, now I have status or whatever it may be, and we see a lot of that aimless relationships for just
or something's wrong with me if I don't have a
That's right.
girlfriend
Aimless
or a
relationships
boyfriend.
just for identity purposes. Again, we're shifting away from if I find my worth in Christ, what am I finding my worth in? And now we're living in disobedient, unbiblical ways, right? And so, next we're going to jump right into sports, which is one of the main reasons why you sit here with us today. Apart from all your wisdom that you have, you guys
Praise
both
God.
have a story in maybe finding some identity in a sport that you were playing. There's a different culture here in this town, and let me ask you this. Friday night lights, right? That idea that the football stadium lights are on and the community is there. Is that bad?
No,
No, it's
Ready to
actually,
run through a wall right now.
I know.
Yeah.
You think about it.
it's
like,
actually
yeah.
one of the
So
most,
much fun.
it's
I
actually
feel like
one
I'm
of
in a movie.
yeah. It's actually one of the most community things this town has to offer, right? To be able to come under the lights of a stadium, whether it's good weather or bad weather,
don't
the
matter.
rival team, the energy. Like, man, you step into a stadium here in Chapel Hill and you're like, let's do this, right? I don't care if we're the underdog. We're going to
Yeah.
take them, right? And the crowd feels that.
To the extent that this town even travels, you know, like
Yes. Sure.
we had a game like 3.5 hours away,
And we had more-
We had more than
Yes.
the home
Yes,
team.
we had more
that
than the
happened
home team.
multiple times.
I was like, I feel bad for the home team.
Yes.
Right
Yeah. So as I talk about this and as we talk about this is like the pre-warning to us talking about sports. None of us here in this room hate sports.
No.
None of us think it's bad. None of us think that any one of these sports, baseball, football, dance, anything is inherently bad. Just like we talked about with the other things, makeup and modesty and video games. Taken the wrong way, and when your identity starts to be found in those things, they're very bad. They're very bad because they will take the throne where Jesus is supposed to be sitting. And so as we talk about that, we're not saying these things are bad, but there's things where you can get caught up and that becomes very bad. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of dive into your stories. Mikayla, we'll start with you.
Sure.
What was your sport? Was it like underwater basket weaving or
Yes, actually,
pickleball?
Pickleball was my now sport.
It's my now sport.
She's old.
What sports did you play in high school?
I played softball and volleyball.
Okay.
Volleyball was just kind of like the...
Neither one of those are evil. In that,
Yeah. They're fun.
Yeah.
Volleyball was more of like my fun sport. It was more of like we were a newer team, or it was new to the school. So I tried out my freshman year and got on, and then played up until my sophomore year, because then everybody started getting better than me, and I was like, well, maybe I just won't play my junior year. And I got hurt too.
I wish
my
a lot of people
sophomore year.
would listen to that, because there's some people who are on teams and they never play, and I'm like, dude, just go home.
Yeah.
Like
A waste of
figure,
your life.
like
It's
like
figure,
football.
figure
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
else out, right?
Yeah.
Like when I came to play sports, that's exactly what I came to do, is play sports.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe
And so,
you have another talent.
yeah,
Like,
good on you for
hidden
acknowledging that. Like,
talent.
Yes.
you know what? Everybody else is better than me. I'm out.
It was super fun though. But I started playing softball. It was like rec league when I was like 10. And then I realized, okay, I like this. And I was the catcher, and I had a friend who was a pretty good pitcher, and we just came as a duo. So I was
Good
like,
team. Yeah.
yeah, I'll just keep going. So then I played throughout my 7th grade year up into my sophomore year in high school. But my 7th grade year, I tore my ACL and meniscus and had to have surgery. So I was out for a long time. But during that time, I think the Lord was also calling me to slow down. Because before that, I was doing travel ball. I was all invested into just all the softball, everything you can think of, all the practices on Wednesday nights or games on Sundays, and early Sunday mornings too. So I think the Lord was calling me to slow down, and he forcefully called me to slow down. But that opened the door for me to go to Wednesday nights at youth group, and eventually start to lead worship and kind of build up that ministry too. So I was grateful for that in a strange way. But in high school, I started to get really anxious about my performance. There was all this pressure to be a wall back there because I was the catcher. That's what I hear a lot.
Where did the pressure come from? Like,
Mostly, I think the town, because everybody is super invested in
Okay.
softball. We were, for like the first few years, we were super good. They
Yeah.
had a lot of talent on that team, and we'd go to state at least every year and either get runner up or win.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of pressure from the town to be how alumni
Sure.
were.
yeah.
And most of it also came from myself and my coaches too, knowing like, okay, I don't want to do this when I get to college, if I get to college. And I know it's not as serious for me as it is for others. And I almost felt guilty about that.
Okay.
And so I put that pressure on myself to perform like I was, going to play sports in college.
Right.
And that led to a lot of thoughts about myself that were not good. I had a lot of anxiety before games, before practices, to the point where I brought a prop. For those of you who can't see, it's my visor. There was one point where all the girls were putting Bible verses on their cleats, and I was like, well, my cleats are disgusting, so I'm gonna put it on my visor because I wear it most of the time when I don't have a catcher helmet on. So I started with one Bible verse. It's Psalm 56:3, and it's like, when I'm afraid, I put my trust in you, because I was so fearful of making a mistake, because I felt like I wasn't going to be forgiven. I was going to be shamed instead. So I put that on there, and then it just ended up becoming everywhere, all over my visor. On the rim and, the bill, and I have a bunch of scripture, like there's do not be anxious, and let you be the light, encouragement to just keep doing what I was doing. And I didn't realize it, but I was covering my mind physically in scripture as I was playing and running on the field.
Yeah.
And it just kind of flowed down throughout me of this peace, and knowing that I was going to be okay. It was a softball game.
Right.
But at the time, it felt like the whole world would end if I, missed the ball or didn't throw down correctly. And the summer before my sophomore year, no, the summer after my sophomore year, I went to a camp that was focused on worship music and Christian music and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed my time there. And I really, the Lord grew my faith there. I had a lot of stuff where I just kind of had to block it out. And softball was one of those things because I was just so invested for so long that I did end up finding my identity in that. And so I was sitting on the beach after that camp. Me and my family went on vacation, and I was thinking, I was praying, and I knew that tryouts were coming up, and I was like, I feel like the Lord's bringing me out of this season to make me more available for Him to use, maybe in a music stance, or even just to be like, hey, you are mine.
Yeah. That
actually reminds me of a scripture I'd like to read. But I turned to my mom, and I was like, I don't think the Lord wants me to play softball this up and coming year. And that kind of shook her because her and my dad like supported me financially through travel ball and even school ball. It got kind of expensive too. But yeah, it kind of shook my family a little bit and my brain. Cause I mean, I don't know if my body wanted to or not, but I that was a place I was comfortable with because I've been there for so long, and I was a little afraid to step out of that.
I want to, as you look for your verse, I want to speak to that right there. I know your parents. I know both of them. Neither one of them would purposely put pressure on you. Neither one of you would say, hey, find your identity in softball. You know, like those aren't things that would come out of your parents' mouth. But when you're in something and you've put money into it and you're so used to going to games and it's year after year, and then your kid comes to you and says, I don't think I'm going to play, it's going to take anybody off guard, right? And your parents probably had that moment where they're like, are you sure? Like, there's been time spent. You've invested so much. Coach is playing you a lot. You're getting a lot of playing time.
Sometimes the fear is quitting, right?
Sure.
Like you don't want your kid to be a quitter.
Yeah, at what point in the season, or have you started tryout? All those types of things come to my mind, or their mind. But in the end, they probably just took a step back and was like, we trust that you're trusting the Lord, right?
Yes.
And so that's a healthy decision. Hey, it's not, I'm going to take on 4 more seasons of this. You're taking a step back and saying, you know what? I think God's calling me to something different, right? So they quickly identified, okay, she's hearing from the Lord on this. Go ahead with your verse.
This is Isaiah 43, verses 1 through 2. Now this is what the Lord says, the one who created you, Jacob, and the one who formed you, Israel. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and the rivers will not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be scorched, and the flame will not burn you. And the thing that sticks out is you are mine. And I kind of felt that when the Lord kind of called me out into this, or asked me to step out in obedience into this uncertainty. And so I did. And I can say now, years later, that it was the right thing.
Yeah.
And I've been blessed because of what the Lord has done in my life.
I think a key thing too is like, were you not obediently listening to the Lord, or in the Word still, or making every effort to be at Wednesdays and Sundays and involved in everything, you would have missed that. Or you may not have heard the Lord speaking to you. And so I think that's a huge thing in knowing.
Yes.
Something I want to acknowledge as being part of that decision when you made that. You were not at 100% perfect peace with it. Like when you did it, you were kind of like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing, right? And now on the backside, you knew you were doing something scary, but now you can look back and go, yeah, God was leading me to that. But I had this almost struggle, like a personal struggle.
Yes.
I personally want to play these things and continue on, but I think God's calling me out of it, right? And so it wasn't an easy decision. It was a tough one. You know?
I've actually made a lot of those.
I remember the look on your face, like,
That's the prayer.
And
Go ahead.
Sorry,
No, go
one more
ahead.
thing, and to kind of encourage you guys, if anybody's listening who are going through something that like, oh, I need to make this decision, and I don't know whether or which way the Lord's calling me to go, and don't be afraid to make the decision that you think that He's, leading you towards. I mean, pray obviously about it. A quick testimony: my softball coach and her dad were my coaches, so I had 2 father-daughter combo. It was my 7th grade year, so my first year playing 4 softball, and it was intense. But I remember her asking me, because it just said the pandemic had just ended, and she apparently was watching Grove Hill online.
Yeah.
And asked me about it, and I was like, yeah, I sing there sometimes. And she was like, she had just gotten married and found out that she was having a baby, and so I think just like a whole new season of life, she was interested in coming and seeing what was going on.
Yeah.
So that was my 7th grade year. I was 13. I left when I was 16. So within those 3 years, after I left, she started coming to church with her husband. Then she gave her life to the Lord and got baptized.
Yes.
Which led for her husband to get baptized.
Yep.
Which led for her,
Father.
her father to get baptized, which was a big deal if you played for softball.
Yeah.
And now their whole program is Christ-centered.
Yes.
And we kind of talked about this yesterday when our video failed. But like me, if that were happening as I was involved, like while I was involved, it probably would have wavered my decision of whether to stay or not.
Yeah.
And I mean, even her adopted brother and sister are now baptized and know the Lord. Like it's changed the
God
family
has
dynamic.
radically changed that family.
Yes.
Radically changed that family. And it's just so cool to see the perspective shift in their minds of, hey, this is softball, yes. But there's this building of who we are in Christ first. It's really incredible. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to shift gears and switch it over to Wyatt. And Wyatt, can you give your testimony as far as you were playing, table tennis as your sport?
Mine was actually the underwater basketball.
Underwater basketball.
That's
okay.
right.
I had a bamboo
Was that
stick for a
snorkel? Bamboo stick? Okay. I didn't know if you were doing like full scuba or what. No. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I started playing football.
That makes more sense.
Yeah,
Football.
this makes a little more sense. It's kind of one of those hard things. Like, there's so much that happened in my high school years, you know. But I moved here my sophomore year, started playing football here at Forest. And sophomore year wasn't the greatest, you know. And so that was whatever. Went into from sophomore year, end of that season, we got a new coach. And I just bought into the system. Yeah. You know, like I realized like this coach was fair, you know. Like
he tends to do that. He is incredible at coaching.
Yeah.
And it creates buy-in from the students.
Yeah.
Which then creates victory.
Yeah. Like for me, growing up, football was never my life. You know, like I'm originally from the north, so it was basketball. You know, so you move down here to a small town in the South, like football is like we were saying, like everything's shut down on Friday. Like maybe $1 General's open. You know,
1 out of 4.
1 out of 4. Yeah,
hey, 25% chance is pretty good.
But that since when I joined my sophomore year and had been progressing as a player, and then the new coach came along, I was just full throttle for football. You know, and growing up, you know, always being one of the biggest kids, if not the biggest kid in the room, you know, everyone puts in your brain like, oh, you could easily go play D1, you know, like that's something I've been told my whole life, you know, and so in the back of my brain, I'm playing for that, you know, I'm gonna go be I don't know about NFL, you know, but we're gonna go for D1, you know, or else life's over type thing, you know, and I kind of during that time I was like, oh, that's not the truth, but you know, the more I think about it, I'm like, that's why I was playing, you know, was the pressure of that and this self-belief that wasn't a bad thing, but this expectation. You know?
It's also fulfilling too. Like when you're good at something, achievement, the side of thing, like I said, with the man side of things is we perform, right? Like we want to achieve stuff. And so when you get a victory like that and some of that falls on your shoulders, you're like, let's go. I'm going to do that again, you know?
Yeah. And, so junior, like off season going into junior year, going great. You know, I'm the starting tight end, starting outside linebacker on defense, and it was just like to the world's eyes, to a third person perspective, it's going amazing.
Right.
You know, I'm still active in church, playing on the worship team when I can, doing as much youth stuff as I can. You know, and but there was definitely a more emphasized focus on football. You know, and so 2 weeks out from season start, I had just had this time of, a couple weeks, like during the end of the summer, I just had this anxiousness of, I would go to football. Like I said, things are going great, but I would just be dreading going. You know, like you think about a kid going to public school, school. You know, it's just like, man, for me, I hated going to pre-K. I'm like, man, I want to stay home, And I got homeschooled, and they're like, all right, fine, you'll stay home.
They put you in the 4th grade classroom as a pre-K, dude, just because of your size. Just kidding. Just kidding.
But I was like, man, why can I not shake this feeling?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing going wrong at football. The coaches are great.
Yeah.
I made friends, But all that entire time that I was playing, I had gone in with the mindset of just protecting my faith.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. But when you're only sitting in the defense and not the offense is when God won't use you.
Yeah.
Because you're not allowing him to use you.
Yeah. I remember in that time that you were making that decision, which you're about to say what decision you made. But you called me and you were like, man, I feel like I'm a football player who also follows Christ.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. You're like, it's like my follow Christ is secondary to football. And you said that you wanted to be a follower of Christ or a Christian who then plays football. So what decision did you make?
So there was just one night that I was sitting up. My dad, he was working overnights shifts at Walmart, and I was just sitting up late playing my guitar, talking to my mom, and at the time we were building our house, so in our camper, so really I could have been talking to her from my bedroom, but I'm just talking to her, and it's 2 a.m, and just praying and all this stuff, and I came to the realization that, all right, I can't have both worlds right now. We talked about the video games, like this line has been blurred. There's there's no priority list, and that list should be God. Right now it's God and football, and then God.
Sure.
It's just a constant cycle,
Sure.
And so the next day, going to practice, coach thinks everything's fine. And I texted him, I was like, hey, can I talk to you before practice?
Yep.
So I go in, and I tell him that just right now I need to set some things straight. I'm not living up to my expectations of what I know God calls me to do, And to him, it didn't make any sense.
Sure.
He's like, he's asking me, are you sure about this? I'm like, I don't know. Am I sure about this?
Rightfully so, right? He's put a lot of energy into you, put a lot of coaching into you. Yeah.
And so I end up doing, how it talks about you cut off that body part, and it makes you sin or takes your focus off of God.
Yeah.
I didn't actually physically cut any body parts off, thankfully.
His prop is the body part.
Yeah, I'm actually. But and so for me, I don't remember if Mikayla shared it this podcast or yesterday, but she was like, she had gone back, I don't know how long afterwards, but she had gone back and did worship with the team, For me, I had to have complete separation, and then spoiler, I took a year off and was with no certainty of what was going to come out of that. I'm like, I may be done, I may come back, like no idea, I end up coming back my senior year and playing. And complete life change. Yeah. Like from a physical standpoint, I had gotten much stronger, like everything like that. But more importantly, spiritually, I was able to go out on the field and play my heart out. Yeah. But play that for God and not for chasing stuff.
100%. First off, super proud of both of you because you stopped and realized that God was calling you out of it. And then you never went back, and you've been continue on in worship and different areas of life that God is leading you to, and you stopped, quit, right? And that's the unpardonable sin here in Chapel Hill is to cut something out, right? If you miss your 4th grade year of baseball, you'll never play again, and you're not gonna get signed to a college and all this kind of stuff. You have to be in it all the time. False. It's okay to reel back. It's okay to take a season off. It's okay to not do travel ball. It's okay for those things. If you're good at it, you have a good heart, and you're passionate about what you do, you're going to play. You're going to play. The coach is going to play you. And so just a huge testimony to both of you in 2 different aspects. You stopped and didn't go back, and you stopped and then went back. It's huge because you guys were realigning and fixing your eyes on the Lord. A lot of times in marriage and parenting, it's not wrong, but we say, man, our priorities, right? God, my wife, my kids. Sounds like great priorities, right? That's not biblical. Biblical is God, everything. Everything is Jesus. Everything. And then he sets our priorities. And then it looks like this. Take care of your wife. Take care of your kids. Be part of the community. play sports, right? Like there's this line that God gives us the priority. And so I want to read a scripture here, and it is Philippians 4, and it starts in verse 6. It says, do not be anxious for anything, but in everything in prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Both of you had been mentioning about being anxious. And the word anxious in scripture is actually a split mind, a split mind. And so we talk about God being our priority and the one thing. When we get that split mind and we're like, football and God, family and God, anything like that, we get anxious because we know what we're created to be is in perfect unity with God. And we start bringing other things into it. Video games, we bring in sports, we bring in family, we bring all these things in, and God does not share the throne with anything. If you're putting something else on the throne, God allows you to have that throne with that idol, right? And so that anxiousness comes from that split mind or that double mind that says, I can do this and this. No, God needs to be number one, Jesus only, and then he's going to set the priorities.
Yes. I have a prayer from Psalms 86 that I've been going back to a bunch every time I'm reminded of it because of that split mind. This is Psalm 86 verse 11 and 12 says, teach me your way, Lord, and I will live by your truth. Give me an undivided mind to fear your name. Ooh. I will praise you with all of my heart, Lord my God, and will honor your name forever. And I feel like that right there is my life. And I'm at life as a Christian too, to Lord, teach me your way and may I walk in your truth. Lord, help me to have an undivided mind so that I will do nothing but give you glory and fear your name.
Man, that's so good. Okay. When our eyes are fixed on him and we're not looking to the left and to the right, we have the freedom to play football. We have the freedom to play video game. We have the freedom to seek relationship with people under the care that God is the only thing in our life that matters, right?
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for listening today. I hope you take this as encouragement. I hope you take this as a warning. I hope you take it as all the positive things. I don't want you to feel judged. I don't want you to feel like you're not enough or you're doing something wrong with your kids. What I want to do is bring insight of God's word to the forefront and then help us to surrender things to the Lord. And so what I would encourage you to do this week is with your kids, surrender the things that you do, right? If you've always played baseball, just surrender that to the Lord. Lord, are we still doing what you want us to do? It could be a yes. It could be a no.
Encouragement to check in with your kids, too.
Absolutely.
I think we get a little bit of an insight with the youth, not because we're perfect parents or anything.
No.
But being in the youth, like we get some insight
That's
with
right.
them. We get to hear some things or see some things about exhaustion or about maybe just like, I don't know what decision to make. And so just check in with your kids. You know, it's just a reminder. We have to remind ourselves to do that too.
Yep.
So
Wyatt, Mikayla, thank you for being here today. Thank you for the
sir.
insight that you brought to the table.
Of course.
None of us are perfect, and Kelly and I navigated the same things in high school of how and when and God and all the things. And so thank you for being here. And we love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.